Deciding what anime to watch can be really hard sometimes. As someone who only became a full-blown anime fan in the past couple years, I've quickly found out that there are just too many good options for shows and movies. And with all these options, picking one to actually get into can feel impossible. Do I go back to the classics that everyone recommends? Do I check out this new seasonal anime that I've heard is pretty good? Do I finally decide to spend 15 years of my life trying to catch up to One Piece? It's a tough choice, and one that I often have difficulty making, which usually just ends up with me binge-watching video essays on YouTube instead of starting a new show. So today I had an idea. Instead of making that choice, why don't I get something else to make it for me? To help me with that is spin.moe. It's a website that selects a completely random anime from the over 18,000 shows, movies, and OVAs that are listed on my anime list. And I'm gonna let it decide what I watch. Whatever it lands on, no matter how terrible or obscure it is, I'll have to sit through and check out. And I'll be giving my thoughts on everything to help you decide if any of it is worth watching. I'm sure that nothing will go wrong with this idea. Alright, I am here with spin.moe. It's given me some pretty crazy picks in the past, so I'm really excited to see what I get first. Let's pick something to watch. Oh, interesting. I got an anime special. I think that just means it's an OVA. Ichitaka no Musu Nikki. Let's check it out on my anime list. 5 dream sequences, dubbed his delusions. Wet dreams from the imagination of a healthy young man. Did I get a hentai? Did I randomly pick a hentai to watch? So, for anyone confused, Ichitaka no Musu Nikki, or Ichitaka's Delusion Diary, is an OVA bonus special for an anime called Eyes Pure, which itself is an OVA anime adaptation of a manga called Eyes. Eyes is a romance ecchi series by Masakusa Katsura which ran from 1997 to 2000 in Weekly Shonen Jump. The anime came out in 2005 with 6 episodes animated by Piero. And for some reason, it then got an R-rated bonus OVA special that I somehow landed on out of all the content on my anime list. So I watched it. God. Oh. Yeah, so this entire OVA bonus special is gonna be pixelated if you're watching this on YouTube, because the entire thing is fan service. The entire special is 5 episodes of nothing but panty shots and nudity for a romance anime that I've never even seen before. So hey, if you want to watch the full, uncensored version of whatever is happening on screen right now, go check that out on my Patreon, linked in the description. God damn it. Oh no. Oh, I can't show any of this. To recap the plot of the OVA special, there is none. In all 5 episodes, our protagonist Ichitaka has a wet dream about perving on some girls he knows. He sees them naked, wakes up from his dream, and then gets slapped comedically. That's it. This is my life now. This is what oh my god. It was all a dream for the 5th time. Every episode is also only 1 minute long, so there is quite literally nothing here but fan service. All right, episode 5, the final episode. Let's hope that there's some plot or character development or something. Never mind. This was such a bad idea. I don't know why I did this. So, considering this entire OVA special had almost nothing I could show on YouTube or talk about any longer than I have, I made the executive decision to check out the original anime it's a part of, Eyes Pure. It's only 6 episodes long, so I figured why not and watch the whole thing. At least it would give me something to talk about. Alright, this is something, finally. It's actual plot. It's actual content. I mean, it's still, I don't think I could show any of this still. I definitely can't show any of this. Eyes Pure is a romance anime following a high schooler by the name of Ichitaka Sato. Sato, as he's more commonly called, is a rather shy kid who has a crush on a girl in his class named Iori. In the first scene of the show, we're shown Sato narrating the events of Christmas Eve, where he tells us that today's the day he's gonna ask Iori out. We then flash back several months earlier to Sato at school, where he gets paired up with Iori to plan an act for the freshman welcome party. The two of them have an awkwardly silent first meeting in the library, and before Iori leaves, she comes up with a team name for her and Sato's act. She calls them Team Eyes, since it's both of their initials put together. So that's the entire reason the show is called that, and it will never get brought up again. The entire first episode basically follows several times where Iori gets bullied at school, because her classmates find out that she did a modeling photo shoot outside of class. So she keeps getting harassed and perved on because of it. The first time, she's getting yelled at by a bunch of guys in the hallway. Sato runs in to tell the bullies off, but slips and falls and ends up getting blamed for bullying Iori, which makes her mad at him. The second time, the bullies set up a fake photo shoot of their own where they hide a hidden camera in the girls' change room. They pressure Iori to join, and when she finds the hidden camera, one of them tries to straight up assault her. Again, Sato runs in and slips at the last minute, getting blamed when the principal walks in. Then there's a weird scene where Sato's best friend Teratani comes to try and cheer Sato up by giving him a photoshopped nude of Iori, which is a little weird, and it gets worse when Sato tries talking to Iori on the rooftop and the photoshopped nude flies out of his book and she picks it up and sees it. Idiot. God damn it. Whoops. However, Iori eventually realizes that Sato had good intentions, and she invites herself over to his place to plan their act together. They plan out a Nin Biori show and seem to get along, but when Iori goes to the bathroom, Sato's childhood friend Itsuki comes back from a trip to America and barges into Sato's room in her underwear. What a twist! That's a good premise, you know, he's got a crush on the girl, his childhood friend comes back. Apparently everyone in his high school sexually assaults women. Pretty classic romance plot. The second episode opens right after the first one ends. Itsuki is in her underwear talking to Sato about how she came back from America. Sato naturally tries to hide her from Iori, but ends up getting caught, with it looking like a lewd situation to her. What the f? The next day at school, Iori and Sato end up alone in a stairwell together. Though just as Sato is about to say something to her, Itsuki shows up and outright confesses that she has feelings for Sato, which is incredibly poor timing on her part, but also made her my favorite character on the show. What a Chad. After school, the two even meet up to talk about Itsuki's new apartment and some of the stuff she brought. Continuing to be a Chad, Itsuki reveals that she went to America to be a sculptor for Hollywood movies, and the reason she started sculpting is that Sato complimented a bust she made of him as a kid, which she still keeps. Iori and Sato then plan a date at a remote shrine in Kyoto. While on the date, they even overhear that there's a nearby shrine of love that will bless a relationship if you walk under all the torii gates. Sato and Iori start walking through them together when Sato gets a call that Itsuki's apartment burned down. Sato then naturally runs off to go help Itsuki, which is a bit funny because the show frames this as him having to choose between the two girls, even though continuing a date and saving your friend from a house fire are not at all similar situations. But at Itsuki's burned down apartment, he sees her crying over the destroyed sculpture of him, and he comforts her as the episode ends. Oh, his bust is— No! No! God damn it, dude. Episode 3 opens with Sato conflicted on his feelings between the two girls, with his Christmas Eve flash forwards even suggesting he might have more feelings for Itsuki than for Iori, which is confirmed when they have a heartfelt moment together one night after Iori leaves his place and the two cuddle each other in bed. Very cute, very wholesome. The next day at school, Iori is getting pressured into a photo shoot again, this time for a beauty pageant. And Sato just straight up manipulates her into doing it, which is wild to me. This girl must have so much trauma related to modeling at this point, and Sato just does not care.
Richard, it's you! Oh, it's been a long time since!
Wait, hold up. Wait, hold up. Later, Sato and Itsuki go shopping for new stuff for her apartment, and as they're on their pseudo date, Sato sees the guy who's supposed to be in charge of the beauty pageant and chases him down. He asks why he's not at the school, and the kid says the beauty pageant is a trap, because of course it is. Itsuki tells Sato to go after Iori, and we see that she went to an abandoned building where she was told the photo shoot was. Iori then gets attacked by the bully who assaulted her in the first episode named Samajima. Sato runs in at the last minute and tries to save her, but just gets beat up. Then his friends show up and scare the bullies off, revealing that Itsuki called them to help. Why Sato didn't think to call anyone for backup, I don't know, but I guess he thought he could fight off a gang of bullies by himself. Oh, hell yeah, dude. It's the bodybuilding club from Mob Psycho. Though after Sato comforts Iori and goes back to check with Itsuki, she tells him she actually got a phone call while he was gone, and she took a job offer in America to be a sculptor in an upcoming Hollywood movie. And even when Sato says he has feelings for her, she says he should be with Iori instead. And with that, Itsuki leaves for America, never to be seen again. God. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this is the point where the show completely lost me. Itsuki was like the only character I cared about, and with her gone, I just kind of stopped paying too much attention. So I'm gonna fast forward through the rest of the episodes. That's stupid. I'm done with this show. God damn it. Episode 4. The friend group goes on a trip to the beach. Sato meets a girl there named Izumi who is sad that she broke up with her boyfriend. She says he couldn't complete this magical rock stack thing where if you stack 50 rocks on top of each other, your relationship is blessed. At the end of the episode, Izumi gets Sato to try and stack the rocks to see if he can, and for the final rock, Iori comes up and helps him, meaning that Izumi was wingmanning him the entire time. After finishing the stack, Sato was about to confess his feelings for Iori when he passes out from heat stroke, because God hates this man. Episode 5. We are now fully in the Christmas timeline. The gang goes to a karaoke party, and Sato and Iori are both obviously into each other the entire time, but fate keeps getting in the way of them confessing their feelings. Did he not wipe his hands? They're just not even going to talk about that. At one point, Sato says he likes Iori, but she's too drunk to understand. Later, they're walking home, and Iori gets a poorly timed phone call that she has to audition for a theater group she wants to work for. Like, right at that moment. On Christmas Eve, she has to audition. I have no idea how this theater group works. After that, they're standing next to each other at a Christmas tree, and they both think the other has a crush on someone else.
Yoshisuke!
Are you kidding me? Then, finally, Sato admits he has feelings for Iori on the train ride home, and the episode ends with her saying she likes him too. Finally. Episode 6 then opens with a 1-year time skip. A year? I'm sorry, what? Yeah, they confessed their feelings to each other and an entire year passed, where apparently they both got jobs but didn't go on a date or do anything together. I don't know how that even works, but okay. They then have a heart-to-heart conversation in the rain where Iori basically says she's busy with her theater rehearsals and doesn't want to have to choose between Sato and being an actor. The next day, Sato even gets a call to meet with Iori's manager, who gaslights him into breaking up with her so she can focus on her acting career. The theater director then shows up, who in my headcanon is J.K. Simmons from Whiplash, and he mansplains that Iori is a prodigy and shouldn't be dating anyone since she's gonna be a big star. And so, of course, Sato just immediately gives in and breaks up with Iori. And instead of telling her that her boss is trying to pull a Whiplash, he's just like, yeah, I met someone else, let's break up. Anyway, it's these final 10 minutes when the show goes insane. Because back at home, Teratani yells at Sato for being an idiot and breaking up with his girlfriend, but then they're interrupted when a goddamn supervillain called the Marionette King sends a broadcast on the internet that they're gonna attack Iori before her next play. I did not make that up. That's the plot twist of the show. So, and I honestly would have never expected this, Sato starts stalking Iori and training in martial arts to defend her from the Marionette King. What is this creepy ass shit? What are you doing? Am I watching Taxi Driver right now? What's happening? And one day, after a talk show, Sato is watching Iori from a distance and gets attacked by Samejima, who reveals himself as the mysterious supervillain. He ambushes Sato on a rooftop, and the two of them fight in a very underwhelming battle before Samejima falls off the roof and gets caught by Iori's bodyguards. Sato then lays down on the snowy rooftop and bleeds out from a wound Samejima gave him. No. No f***ing way. He has a dream about Christmas Eve, where this time he walks Iori home and asks her out instead of being a coward, and then Sato fucking dies. That's it. The end. Alright, well he doesn't die, he slips into a coma, and before her big play, Iori calls him at the hospital and tells him she's quitting her acting career to be with him, and the power of love wakes him from his coma. And the episode ends with the two of them holding hands on the roof of the hospital. Then the credits roll as Sato watches a tape that Itsuki sent him talking about how she found someone to be in love with in America, which is really just salt on the wound for me at this point.
おめでとう、いっちゃん。夢、掴んだね。
I'm done. I'm not. No. So that's Eyes Pure. It is an incredibly mediocre romance anime. The whole thing is fairly predictable at almost every moment, except for the final twist where the protagonist becomes a vigilante superhero for 2 minutes and almost dies. That was pretty cool. The animation is decent for what the show is, not too visually stunning, but I did like the use of aspect ratio shifts and other stylistic flourishes that it pulls every once in a while. The voice acting was good, the music was decent, the OP is a banger, though I don't think I can show any of it because of copyright and also the fact that it's entirely just shots of girls in their underwear. And speaking of girls in their underwear, for an ecchi show, I was actually surprised by the complete lack of anything adult past basically the first episode. I mean, Iori gets harassed like 4 times in a row in the pilot, and Itsuki is introduced in her underwear, and then they never really do anything like that again. Which makes me think that the original manga was probably much more ecchi, and for the anime, they cut out all the lewd scenes and stuck them into the bonus OVA. I might be wrong on that though. If anyone's read the manga, please let me know. Overall, I think the main bulk of my opinion of Eyes Pure is just that it's okay. The writing is okay, the characters are okay, everything is just what you'd expect, and nothing really more than that. Now, I personally hate romance shows where the characters take forever to confess to each other, which is pretty much all this is, but if you're okay with romance like that, you're probably not gonna hate this. I'd give it a can watch. Though, from what I read online, it actually condenses a much longer manga into just 6 episodes, so if you like this story, I'd probably recommend just reading that instead. However, I shouldn't even be rating Eyes Pure because that's not the show I picked. I picked Eyes Pure bonus OVA Ichitaka no Musu Nikki, which is 5 minutes of nothing but panty shots and boobs. So my rating for that is a strong don't watch. Because why would you? Go watch a hentai or something. You don't need to watch this. Second spin. Please ignore the fact that I look like I've been stranded on a desert island for 6 months. It's been a long 2 weeks. Come on. Hopefully it's something easy to watch. Tenbatsu Angel Rabbi. Rabbi? I have no idea how you're supposed to pronounce that. 1 episode. Thank God. Alright, let me jump in here. First of all, this second spin was recorded a while after the first one because I actually came down with a really bad flu and couldn't talk for like 2 weeks. So please excuse that I'm still a little sick there. Second of all, Tenbatsu Angel Rabbi, or Heaven's Judgment Angel Rabbi, is a single episode anime OVA made in 2004 by AIC. Apparently, it's an original story, but the main character, Angel Rabbi, is actually from a visual novel called Angelic Serenade that came out in 2002. Also, Angel Rabbi is a magical girl alias name, and the character's real name is Lasty Farson, which sounds like a made-up Midwestern hockey player. Now, there isn't a whole lot online for Lasty Farson, Tenbatsu Angel Rabbi, or Angelic Serenade. Pretty much all I could find was a Japanese Wikipedia article for the visual novel. But I believe Angelic Serenade is actually a sequel to another visual novel called Angelic Concert, which was one of the first musical visual novels, and is set in the universe of a game called Little Witch Parfait that came out in 1999. So Tenbatsu Angel Rabbi is a spin-off anime of a visual novel sequel to a spin-off of a management adventure game that came out in the 90s. Oh, and the only other bit of trivia I could find was that the website Visual Novel Database, or vndb.org, uses Lasty Farson as its mascot. So if you've ever used the site and wondered who this heterochromic mystery child is, there's your answer. Now, none of this is at all important to understanding the OVA, which is a simple standalone story, but the OVA is really, really boring. So researching all this trivia was infinitely more interesting to me than watching the show. According to the OVA's official website, which is surprisingly still up, and unsurprisingly the most early 2000s looking page ever, Tenbatsu Angel Rabbi follows a sort of post-apocalyptic Nier Automata type plotline. The OVA cold opens with a depiction of what is called the Great Magic War, where all of humanity was destroyed by these evil Kingdom Hearts villains who came from the moon. Thousands of years later, Earth is a post-apocalyptic fantasy wasteland, and there is a floating space station above Earth called Heaven that sends angels down to protect humans on Earth from the remnants of these magical robot things. Our protagonist, Lasty Farson, is one of these angels. After the honestly pretty bangin' OP, we see Lasty is late to her first day on the job. While she's climbing some stairs, another angel called Fia comes back from a mission as a samurai, and talks to a third angel about how Lasty isn't ready and how she'll end up like a missing angel called Lucia, who is presumed dead on Earth. Oh no! Oh, what the What is happening? Lasty then shows up and gets scolded by the angel's superior and Lasty's mother, Siri. Siri reminds Lasty her job as an angel is to make sure everyone on Earth is safe and happy, and she sends Lasty on a space motorcycle down to Earth for her first mission. On her way down, Lasty's space motorcycle breaks down and she loses contact with Heaven as she crash lands in the swamp. Though, conveniently nearby is a quaint little fantasy village, which Lasty checks out. Apparently, the town is super religious and worships in this building called the Atarawi Church, which is being run by some scam artist girls who ask the town's residents for donations and kick Lasty out. Back in the town, Lasty meets a cute boy named Luca, who tells her that monsters have been attacking the village. Lasty follows him to an outpost outside of town, where she stumbles into the remains of an old spaceship. As she checks it out, a giant snake monster attacks the outpost. Lasty uses the spaceship to restore contact to Heaven and requests to transform into her angel form. Her request is granted, and Lasty does a magical girl transformation into her alter ego, Angel Rabbi. She fights some weird golem things, who eventually Voltron together into a super golem, which Lasty defeats with a super cool looking wrestling move. She's gonna die. Or do a pile driver? Isn't that the Undertaker's move? Now, I'm not super well versed in wrestling, but it looks like some sort of weird back-to-back tombstone pile driver, which is definitely illegal considering regular tombstone pile drivers are banned in the WWE after one broke Stone Cold Steve Austin's neck in 1997. Anyway, the church girls from earlier start to fly the spaceship up into the air, but Lasty busts in and says it's too dangerous to let a ship like this loose, so she calls down an airstrike from Heaven that destroys the ship and launches the girls away like Team Rocket. Lasty then reveals herself as an angel to Luca, who asks her to hang out sometime, and she leaves to go get some food as the episode ends. Oh, also, Lucia, the super mysterious fallen angel that got mentioned at the beginning of the episode, shows up overlooking everyone on a cliff, which is very ominous, but also this is the only episode of the show, so it doesn't really matter at all. To be continued on a novel. Okay. The best thing I could possibly say about Tenbatsu Angel Rabi is that it feels incomplete. This feels like a pilot episode to a somewhat decent magical girl show. It sets up an interesting premise, it has honestly pretty good animation and a nice soundtrack, the characters all seem fun, and the show sets up some interesting future conflicts. But it isn't a pilot, it's just one episode, and it is very underwhelming. For this to be the entire plot of the anime makes it feel incredibly rushed, to the point that there's basically no conflict at all until the final 5 minutes when a big fight scene breaks out. And none of the characters really do anything. I think for a standalone story like this, it would have been much better off as a 90-minute movie rather than a 20-minute one-shot. Now, the obvious reason for all this is that it's entirely a promotional piece for the visual novel, where Lasty is a main character. So the standalone anime didn't really care to be anything other than a quick little adventure, since if you like the world and characters, you should just play the visual novel instead. Good luck with that though, because it isn't available outside of Japan. And that's about all I can say for Tenbatsu Angel Rabi. There is not much more to talk about. It is 20 minutes of pretty decent magical girl adventure where not much happens. The show itself isn't bad, it is a definite can watch. Why would you? Why would you watch this? Okay, spin number 3. Hopefully it's a bit better than the last two, because I've got 2 very short, very mediocre animes so far. So let's hope that this one's a little... What the hell? Revolutionary Girl Utena, The Adolescence of Utena. Also known as Revolutionary Girl Utena Adolescence Apocalypse, which is the most metal name for a movie ever. Now this series is actually pretty well known. The original TV show is currently ranked 355 on my anime list, and the movie, though less known, is still ranked 1300, which if you're curious is 10 times higher than Tenbatsu Angel Rabi. The series started with a manga by Chiho Saito in 1996, with the TV series airing in 1997 and the movie coming out in 1999, both animated by JC Staff. And from what I had heard going into the movie, all of the adaptations told the same story with just slightly different details, which was great for me because I wasn't about to go watch an entire 39-episode TV anime just to understand what was happening. What wasn't great for me, however, is that this is apparently one of the most surreal and confusing anime movies ever made. Bro, what the f is happening? What is happening right now? What the f? What? Cool song. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what the f is going on right now. The movie opens with our protagonist, Utena Tenjo, going to a new school called Otori Academy. Except something you'll notice right off the bat is that Otori Academy is some sort of weird flying school where every hallway and staircase moves on their own like it's Hogwarts. Don't worry about it. Utena gets a tour of the school from a friend of hers when she goes to watch a fencing match and sees someone she recognizes. She chases down the mystery man, who is revealed to be her ex-boyfriend, Tuga Kiryu. They talk about their history, she sees he has a weird ring on and gets jealous, thinking that it's a wedding ring, and then she walks alone near a rosebush where she finds a weird ring of her own. Utena then stumbles upon a giant rose garden floating in the sky, where she finds a villainous green-haired man named Saionji and a girl he calls the Rose Bride. Saionji notices Utena's ring and explains to her that everyone wearing one is a duelist, who must fight to win the Rose Bride, and he shows off his own ring, challenging Utena to a duel. Utena reluctantly duels Saionji with nothing but a bamboo stick and expresses that she doesn't think the Rose Bride should be treated like property. Saionji doesn't care though and keeps attacking her, and just when he's about to cut down Utena, the Rose Bride jumps in to kiss her and give her a magic sword that pops out of the bride's chest, which Utena uses to immediately win the duel with a cool finishing move. Later that night, Utena is unpacking her stuff when the Rose Bride visits her. We learn her name is Anthy Himamiya, and she's the sister of the school's missing chairman, Akio Otori. They're continually called Prince and Princess, but honestly, I have no idea how the politics of this place works. Anthy explains to Utena that whoever wins her in a duel is now engaged to her, and has the power to revolutionize the world, hence the title of the series. Anthy then basically tries to sleep with Utena, who objects and kicks her out. Somewhere else, Tuga and a girl named Shiori talk about something. I'm gonna be honest, this is the point where the movie started to lose me, but according to Wikipedia, Shiori tells Tuga that as a child, her own prince died attempting to save a drowning girl. They then get a phone call from Akio, the missing prince, who says that Anthy is a witch who made the Lord of the Flies into a prince, but her magic faded and he returned to his true form. So the duels are an attempt to reactivate the witch's magic. I mean, that's what Wikipedia says happened. All I saw was a bunch of sheets moving around all weird, and I zoned out because I have no idea what any of that means. Anyway, another duelist called Juri talks to Shiori, who basically manipulates Juri into fighting so that they can be free. We then get a very pretty scene where Anthy and Utena talk in the rose garden late at night. Utena is upset because she thinks Anthy tried to sleep with Tuga since he previously won her in a duel. But Anthy just takes an axe to the sprinkler system and they start to dance together under the stars. Why not? The next day, Anthy and Utena get paired up to draw each other in an art class. They go to a secluded part of the school, and Utena says she wants to be actual friends with Anthy, not just weirdly engaged to her. Then Anthy gets Utena to strip naked so she can paint her. Anthy strips too and reveals a giant hole in her chest where the sword from earlier came from. We then get a completely unrelated clip of a cow getting thrown by some elephants, and the cow snorts up a mouse and dies. I don't know, okay, sure, whatever. Then, Juri shows up out of nowhere to duel Utena, and is proven to be a much better duelist. But for a moment, it looks to everyone like Utena transforms into the Prince Akio, which catches Juri off guard and loses her the duel. We then see a secret tape that's getting passed around that shows that the Prince Akio actually drugged and sexually assaulted his sister Anthy while she was conscious the entire time. And in a crazed state, the prince stabbed Anthy in the chest and then fell out of a window. And while this tape is being shown, Akio's body is found and it's revealed he's been dead the entire time. Utena then runs and searches for Anthy and ends up running down this surreal hallway to an elevator with Tuga in it, where Utena remembers that Tuga was the prince that died trying to save a drowning girl. And he's been dead the entire time too. Yeah, and this is still the sane part of the movie. From here on out, it just gets weirder. So Utena finds Anthy and tells her that the two of them should try to leave the school, which is continually being referred to as the Castle of Eternity. Anthy says that as long as she's inside the castle, she can have whatever she wants. But Utena protests and says that they need to go to the outside world. And then Utena is kind of swallowed by a giant car wash and turned into a sports car. So, yeah. Anthy drives Utena, who is now a car, out of the school and onto a giant racetrack. The rest of the movie is then a giant car chase scene. Shiori shows up, also having turned into a car, trying to stop Anthy, but Anthy drives away and escapes. And then an army of cars shows up to stop her, and then a tank. But Anthy gets helped out by Juri and Saionji and all of the friends and enemies we've met throughout the movie. Then the Castle of Eternity itself turns into a giant vehicle and blocks the way. So Anthy drives underneath it and is almost crushed under its wheels. A ghost version of Akio even shows up and tells Anthy to turn back, but Anthy is determined to leave and turns him and the castle into a giant pile of roses. Then the final scene of the movie has Anthy and Utena lying naked on the skeleton of the car, and they kiss each other and drive into a post-apocalyptic wasteland together as the credits roll. That was insane. I feel like understanding that the movie is like 99% metaphorical visuals is probably going to make it a lot easier to break down on a rewatch, but I don't know what's going on, but that was awesome. That was really sick. I really enjoyed that. And that's Revolutionary Girl Utena Adolescence Apocalypse. That's the movie. I wrote this recap with the help of Wikipedia, and I still don't know what any of that meant. The entire film is pretty obviously metaphorical, or certainly the last third of it is. Obviously, you're not supposed to take any of what's happening literally. It's all representative of the themes of trauma and gender and love and sexuality. It is incredibly weird, but I really love this movie. It is visually stunning. The surrealist imagery is so fun to look at, and even the more straightforward scenes still have the school floating around in the background like an M.C. Escher painting. The soundtrack and voice acting are great. There's a good number of musical elements to the movie that really add a lot of emotion to it. The plot is insanity on a literal level, but I think the themes themselves are easy enough to digest. I'd explain my thoughts on what I think about it, but I'm still not entirely sure. And also, this is definitely a movie that I think most people should interpret their own way, since I'm sure a lot of it will have a personal impact on people. Pretty much the only concrete plot element I could talk about is that it's very, very gay. Super gay movie. A lesbian sword fighter turns into a sports car at the end. What do you want from me? But I mean, jokes aside, the movie is just really well made. And I'm a sucker for anything that leaves the ending up to your own interpretation. So overall, this movie was perfect for me. I would absolutely watch it again. And I kinda really want to watch the TV series now too, just because I think that would explain a lot more of what's happening. This is a very solid should watch. Go check it out. And that's it. I saw 3 completely random anime and came out the other side. Honestly, despite how long this video took to make and the fact that I almost died halfway through it, it was a lot of fun. None of the shows I saw were terrible, and they all had at least something to talk about, which was a surprise. I mean, not counting Eyes Pure, I kinda cheated with that one. Well, Revolutionary Girl Lieutenant was just genuinely great. Like, that was just a really good anime recommendation. Like, this was an interesting way to expand my taste. I don't think I ever would have seen or reviewed these shows in a million years if I didn't do something like this. So maybe even think of doing it yourself at home if you're really having trouble picking something to watch. You never know, you might get something worthwhile. And if you want to see another video like this one, let me know in the comments. I'd love to do it again, it was fun to make, and I think it's certainly an interesting gimmick for an anime review show. That being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you to everyone whose name is scrolling up the side of the screen now. If you want your name here in the credits, or you just want to see an uncensored version of videos like this, check that out at patreon.com/Lextorias. It is just $1. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time.